So I'm going to introduce myself. The only thing you really need to know about me is that I'm an American. And being an American, that means I'm very arrogant. So I wrote the first book for developers on security, and I did the crypto algorithm that everybody uses everywhere, GCM. So I'm very arrogant. I also say very brash things and shouldn't be listened to. Like, alerts should go away. You should not look at any alerts. And, you know, that kind of indirectly damns the whole talk that preceded me, as a matter of fact. Yeah. That is a typical security engineer, just running on a treadmill with no ability to actually show that he's providing value, never getting through all the alerts that he has in his organization. That is most of the industry. And alerts are the wrong abstraction anyway. They don't provide significant value. They're low fidelity bits of data. And even when we try to fix that, the tools today people never work through all their alerts. You're going to end up ignoring most of them no matter what you do. And so the industry's tried to solve this problem in a bunch of ways. First, the prioritizations that we get for many tools, worthless, right? There's always more context that you don't have that, if it says that it's a low, well, it might be a high and vice versa. Second, things that are meant to deduplicate across multiple tools, they basically do nothing. Remove a tiny bit of noise at most. Yeah. Yeah. So what do people try to do? They turn off all the noisy rules and, you know, that gets rid of a lot of alerts, and you still have way too many alerts. So they go and buy the next generation tools of the same products they already spent way too much money on, so spend even more money. You know, the thing that people have noticed is, you know, the decision-making process they go through, they love to be able to put all the data you need at your fingertips, so they invest in enrichment, but you know, there's still too many alerts, so you're never going to look through all the enrichment anyway. So the question is it better to put somebody in front of that and have them not look at 90% of it, or automate the fact that you're not going to look at all the alerts? And then when you drill down into why we don't automate that enrichment, like the decision-making process on top of the enrichment, it's because most people don't automatically collect the data they need to make decisions at the end of the day. This video is not showing, is it? I'll just... See, it's all about AI. You're learning. No, that is, the winning move is not to play. Alerts are not where it's at. And to try to help motivate why we're not doing it right, let's look at why operating, when you're sitting there looking at all your enriched data, you still can't get through all your alerts. Well, it's because we have silos of data that are not connected at all, and we have to run around and talk to people to connect those silos of data. You always need to go to developers and get developers to do something. Oh, I got to get them to deploy this so I can get the visibility I need. And they're busy. You know, We might live in an ivory tower and think security is the most important thing in the world, but yeah, the average person doesn't think that, and developers have many things to do, and generally you don't get enough of their time if you're in the security industry. And so when we watch people work, if they're looking at alerts that come out of tools from the AppSec team, they have all sorts of questions about operations to help them figure out whether they want to cut through the noise. Is it in production? I have no idea. If so, is it like talking to the open internet? Is it, are there compensating controls at all? Like, I don't know. Meanwhile, like there are people that are looking at their CSPM every day and still have thousands of log4j alerts sitting there because they don't know who owns it. They don't know anything they need to know, and they figure, well, I probably would have heard about it by now if it was a problem. And you have to make those decisions because you're not getting through them any other way. So one of the things that people can do is essentially try to automate tying those two silos together. So what you really want is to be able to add the equivalent of an air tag to your software that follows it around everywhere it goes. And the trick, though, is a lot of people try it, a lot of vendors try to do it, but then the friction with the development teams, hey, I need you to do that. That doesn't work. Doesn't work, so you need to be able to do this without having to deal with the developers and be able to go like build system at a time instead of a developer at a time. And there is open source to do that recently. So that means there actually are people that never look at their alerts. I would say like a lot of them are Fortune 500 companies, a lot of them are Silicon Valley companies, but also ones in finance. Just across the industry, the best teams don't really look at their alerts at all. They don't want to. They still collect data. They think of it as data, not really alerts. So yeah, maybe very occasionally they might have automation raise an alarm if they know there's an incident where a human would have made that decision, that there's definitely something going on. But you know, that happens once or twice a year. What they do is use the data they collect to drive their organizations to measurable improvements by picking a policy they want to implement and managing the organization to that and then iterating. And they're not afraid of going after the easy wins. So they basically, the whole idea is that they run campaigns based on the data. So they analyze all the data, figure out something to target, and then drive the organization to it. So some examples of things we've seen at these Fortune 500 companies. Hey, we're just going to make sure that everything that we deploy uses something that was built in the last month. You know, probably isn't true today, but we can drive the organization to it, measure that we're doing it, probably make some exceptions, and then start enforcing it. Ooh. Hey, we want to make sure that you're not using the cesspool of Docker Hub. We just like to know what images we have and start like pushing you to use our internal artifact instances or chain guard images. That's something you can do. Hey, we've got, we can easily check to see if there's secrets across our repos. We shouldn't allow that. And, you know, you can enforce it. Hey, large language models are getting popular. Let's see where people are using them and find the things we don't like the people automatically generating SQL queries via LLM and deploying those. We don't want that to happen. Hey, let's go get rid of all the old stuff like Python 2 or, Java, all Java. Or, new CV of the month, the Log4j problem. Once the people that have thousands of alerts still sitting in their CSPM, it's because they don't know who to talk to. Once you can connect the dots, it becomes very easy to figure out the answers to the questions and automate. So what that looks like in organizations is first, like looking at all the things you could do, assessing, picking something, get your target policy, track its posture automatically, automate doing that. Then you work with the organization to transform it, running a campaign specifically against the problem. A lot of people did this for Log4j and then stopped, but mainly because they didn't have the visibility there, it wasn't that successful, and there weren't a lot of things that they could see doing after that. But you can measure the progress and report on it. You will have to accommodate some exceptions, but when you do, then you can start enforcing things like just don't let stuff go into production. There are APIs that make that easy, and then you can go up the chain everywhere and say, hey, look, this is what we weren't doing last month. We did it this month. And even if you're not done with any of the campaigns, you can say, well, here's where we were last month, and now we're 80% of the way there. So it's actually measurable, and you never have to look at an alert. You always know that you're getting better. And that's what we're seeing a lot of people do these days without having to spend a lot of money on a product that, provides dubious value. So